Welcome to Cinema Bites, where movies come alive. We recap the twists, so let's dive. Long ago, powerful beings known as Titans ruled the universe. Meanwhile, far out in the ocean, a fisherman discovers a coffin floating in the water. He brings it aboard and finds the lifeless body of a woman alongside her newborn baby, who miraculously is still alive. Moved by compassion, the man decides to raise the child as his own. Years pass, and the baby grows into a young man named Perseus, who, like his adoptive father, becomes a fisherman. Like his adoptive father, Perseus spends his days fishing. One day, they journey toward the city of Argos, where they come across an enormous statue of Zeus, towering gloriously over the ocean. However, the old fisherman notices something troubling. A group of soldiers is destroying the statue, striking at its feet. The massive sculpture eventually topples from the cliffside, crashing into the waters below and creating gigantic waves. The soldiers celebrate their triumph over the gods, but their joy is short-lived. The sky darkens ominously as storm clouds gather, and swarms of flying creatures emerge from the ocean, rushing toward the mortals who dare to insult their gods. The soldiers attempt to fight back, but are quickly overwhelmed. The creatures slaughter them, one by one, their efforts futile against the supernatural attackers. As the chaos unfolds, the flying demons collide with one another, merging into a single form. The terrifying transformation reveals none other than Hades himself. The vengeful deity notices the small fishing boat and charges toward the helpless mortals. With a single strike, he overturns the vessel, plunging it into the ocean. Perseus narrowly escapes the attack, swimming desperately to safety. However, his family remains trapped inside the boat as it sinks deeper and deeper into the waters. Perseus frantically tries to reach his father, but he fails. He watches helplessly as his loved ones succumb to the waters, suffocating before his eyes. With no other choice, Perseus swims to the surface, clinging to the wreckage, crying out in despair over their tragic loss. Meanwhile, on Mount Olympus, Zeus is made aware of humanity's defiance against the gods. Enraged by the mortals' betrayal of his love, he contemplates retribution. Hades arrives at Olympus and seizes the opportunity to convince Zeus to allow him to punish the people of Argos. Apollo advises against such action, warning that they need the prayers of humanity to sustain their immortality. However, Zeus, consumed by anger, sides with Hades. He reasons that instilling fear in humanity is the only way to remind mortals of the gods' power and love. Back on Earth, Perseus is rescued from the ocean by the soldiers of Argos and brought into the city. Upon their arrival at the palace, the soldiers announced to King Cepheus that their mission to defy the gods was successful, though it came at a heavy cost. The people cheer in celebration, saluting their king, while Cepheus assures them that a new era is dawning, one where humanity will no longer live under the gods' control. King Cepheus proudly declares that the destiny of men will no longer be controlled by the gods. However, his daughter, Princess Andromeda, warns him about their arrogance, cautioning that their hubris will provoke severe consequences from the gods. Her mother dismisses her concerns, laughing as she arrogantly claims that they themselves are now the gods. Suddenly, the lights inside the hall begin to dim, and a cloud of black smoke gathers ominously at the center of the room. The swirling entity starts pulling soldiers toward itself, lifting them into the air and consuming them one by one. Amid the chaos, Perseus somehow manages to resist the pull and remain grounded. The cloud soon reveals its true form, Hades. Intrigued by Perseus's ability to withstand his power, the deity shifts his focus to the Queen of Argos. In a chilling display, Hades flies across the room, draining the queen's life force. Within moments, she is reduced to a lifeless corpse. Hades then addresses the people of Argos, announcing that he will unleash the Kraken upon their city in 10 days when the sun eclipses, unless they offer Princess Andromeda as a sacrifice for offending the gods. Before leaving, Hades deliberately reveals lands, cutting off the scorpion's tail. The scorpion turns its fury toward Io, chasing her into a nearby structure and attacking relentlessly. At the last moment, Perseus saves Io, and the two flee with the scorpion close behind. Realizing they have nowhere left to run, Perseus pushes Io out of harm's way and resolves to face the creature alone. The scorpion lunges at Perseus with all its might, smashing through the structure and landing heavily on the ground. To the onlookers' horror, it seems the scorpion has devoured Perseus. However, moments later, Perseus bursts out of the creature's stomach, delivering a killing blow and ending its rampage. Before the group can celebrate, more scorpions appear from behind the hills, surrounding them with no escape in sight. Just as the creatures prepare to attack, they suddenly freeze in place as distant chanting fills the air. Draco recognizes the newcomers as the Jinn, ancient enemies he fought long ago. Perseus, however, believes the Jinn are allies, as they are the ones who stopped the scorpions. To everyone's amazement, the Jinn quickly subdue the giant creatures, taming them and turning them into transportation. Though hesitant at first, the soldiers realize they have no other choice and accept the Jinn's aid. Using the scorpions as mounts, the group travels swiftly across the lands, finally arriving at the Garden of Stygia, home to the dangerous Stygian witches. Group climbs aboard cautiously as they prepare to journey into the underworld. The ghostly ferryman, Karen, emerges from the mist, a skeletal figure cloaked in darkness who silently steers the boat across the eerie, fog-covered river. As the boat glides deeper into the underworld, the air grows colder, and the sounds of tormented souls echo around them. Perseus and his companions remain on high alert, knowing they are venturing into a realm of unimaginable danger. Upon reaching the other side, they disembark and find themselves in a foreboding cavern. The entrance to Medusa's lair looms before them, a dark and treacherous path lined with the petrified remains of countless victims. Despite their unease, the group steels themselves and ventures forward. Inside, the atmosphere is tense as every shadow and sound seems to warn of impending doom. The soldiers and Perseus tread carefully, knowing that one wrong step could lead to their demise. As they delve deeper, they encounter the monstrous Medusa, whose snake-like hair and petrifying gaze are even more terrifying than they imagined. Medusa begins hunting them, her serpentine movements making her nearly impossible to track. The soldiers try to fight her, but one by one they fall victim to her deadly gaze, turning into lifeless statues of stone. Perseus, however, uses his wits and reflexes to outmaneuver Medusa. With the help of a reflective surface, he avoids looking directly at her and manages to deliver a fatal strike, severing her head. The group's losses are heavy, but Perseus now holds the key to defeating the Kraken, Medusa's severed head, a weapon capable of turning even the mightiest beast to stone. As they leave the lair, Perseus knows the true challenge still lies ahead, reaching Argos in time to stop the Kraken and saving Andromeda from being sacrificed. He retrieves her severed head, the ultimate weapon against the Kraken. However, his moment of relief is short-lived when he finds Io gravely injured, stabbed in the back by Acrisius. Before he can react, Acrisius hurls Io's body against the wall like a ragdoll. Enraged, Perseus charges at the monstrous foe, seeking vengeance. Though he fights valiantly, Acrisius' overwhelming strength quickly overpowers him, tossing him aside like a mere toy. Perseus, refusing to give up, regains his footing and counterattacks, managing to injure Acrisius' leg. Realizing he cannot match Acrisius' brute force alone, Perseus draws the divine sword gifted by Zeus. Leaping into the air, he lands a flurry of strikes, forcing Acrisius to retreat. The battle intensifies, but Perseus' relentless assault overwhelms the creature. Finally, he drives the blade into Acrisius' stomach, reversing the curse and returning him to his human form. The defeated Acrisius falls into the abyss below, disappearing from sight. Perseus rushes to Io, desperately trying to save her. She stops him, urging him to focus on stopping the Kraken and saving the people of Argos before the eclipse. With her final breath, Io assures Perseus that everything will be all right. As her body dissolves into dust, Perseus is left heartbroken but resolute in his mission. Before he can fully process her loss, Pegasus descends from the sky, offering Perseus a ride back to Argos. With no time to waste, he mounts the winged horse and races toward the city. Meanwhile, as the eclipse draws near, the sea begins to churn violently. The ocean floor splits open, releasing colossal tentacles that rise menacingly from the water. Waves crash into the shores of Argos as the Kraken begins its emergence. In a desperate bid to appease the gods, the people of Argos tie Princess Andromeda to a sacrificial platform, preparing to offer her to the monstrous creature. The Kraken's enormous tentacles smash into the city with devastating force, destroying buildings and throwing the city into chaos. As the Kraken wreaks havoc, smashing everything in its path, the people of Argos flee in terror, their city falling apart around them. Meanwhile, on Olympus, the palace trembles violently. Hades finally reveals to Zeus his treacherous plan. The Kraken, being a creature born of Hades' own body, strengthens him with every act of destruction, while simultaneously weakening the other gods. Perseus, flying closer to the Kraken aboard Pegasus, readies himself to confront the beast. However, Hades, aware of Perseus's presence, dispatches numerous demonic minions to intercept him. The demons manage to steal Medusa's head, forcing Perseus into a desperate chase. As Perseus pursues the creatures, the Kraken fully emerges from the ocean, revealing its massive, terrifying form and unleashing a deafening roar. Chaos engulfs the city as the monster's tentacles destroy everything in their reach. Andromeda, tied to the sacrificial platform, watches in horror as the monstrous creature approaches. Despite being pursued by demons, Perseus fights valiantly, knocking them down one by one while racing to retrieve Medusa's head. He corners the flying demon carrying the head, forcing it into the air and narrowly avoiding the Kraken's devastating attacks. Perseus leaps from Pegasus, grabbing the demon mid-air and sending them both crashing into the city below, landing near Andromeda. As the Kraken draws closer, ready to devour the princess in one bite, Perseus retrieves Medusa's head. In a desperate move, he holds it aloft, directing her petrifying gaze at the monstrous creature. The Kraken, roaring in agony, begins to turn to stone, its massive body freezing in place. As the transformation completes, one of the Kraken's enormous arms collapses, crushing buildings and everything beneath it. Andromeda is knocked into the ocean during the chaos, sinking below the surface. The Kraken shatters into pieces. Its reign of terror finally ended. Hades appears before Perseus, furious at the destruction of his creature. The demigod, undeterred, calls lightning from the skies and hurls a divine weapon at the god of the underworld. The powerful strike creates a massive shockwave, forcing Hades back into the underworld, defeated. With the city saved, Perseus dives into the ocean to rescue Andromeda. He reaches her just in time, pulling her from the water and carrying her to safety on the beach. Grateful for her life, Andromeda offers Perseus her hand in marriage, but he declines, explaining that he has no desire to be a king. After returning Andromeda to her people, Perseus is visited by Zeus, the god. Pleased with his son's bravery and heroism, rewards him by reviving Io, allowing Perseus to live out his days with the woman he loves. So, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you next time.